Hari Om, everybody. Let's get started. गणानान्त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामविद्यवत् ओम गणेशाय नमः ओम सरस्वत्यै नमः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये वागीशाद्य सुमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यं नत्वा कृतकृत्या स्युः तं नमामि गजाननं वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय कोटिसूर्य समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणे विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम ब्रह्मानंदं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्य केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्त जन कल्याणे Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Yasya Sannidhi Matrena Sarve Shishyascha Sevakaha Karma Kshetre Pravartante Chinmayam Tam Namamyaham Chinmayam Tam Namamyaham. Let us do the Pratasmaranam. Let me share the slides. Pratasmarami hridisam spuradatmatattvam Satchit sukham paramaham sagatim turiyam Yat swapna jagara sushuptim avaiti nityam Tad brahma nishkalamaham Nacha bhuta sangaha Pratar bhajami manasa vachasa magamyam Vacho vibhanti nikila yadanugrahene Yanneti neti vachanaihi Nigamavochuhu Tam deva deva majamachyuta mahuragyam Pratar namami tamasah paramarkavarnam Purnam sanatana padam Purushotamakyam Yasminnidam jagadasheshamashesha murtau Rajvam bhujangamayiva pratibhasitam vai Rajvam bhujangamayiva pratibhasitam vai. Welcome back, everybody. Let us start with our Mangala Charana Shloka of Atma Bodha. Let me share this. Tapo bhikshina papanam shantanam vitaraginam mumukshunam apekshoyam atma bodho vidhiyate. Now, so far we have understood why we need to study Atma Bodha, having understood the Anubandha Chatushtaya, the fourfold preliminary considerations. We started our journey with this text as to who is the fit student to study Atma Bodha. Mumukshunam, the one who is desirous of liberation. Tapobihi kshina papanam Shantanam Vitaraginam. By the performance of austerities, tapa, what sort of austerities? By japa, puja, worship of the Lord daily, doing his nitya naimittika karmas efficiently, by observing vratas, fasting, maunam, etc. He has a good lifestyle of what? Achara coupled with vichara. Good conduct and inquiry. Out of the 10 broad topics, we have covered so far 2 of them. Shlokas 2 through 5. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji covered moksha sadhana. And 6 through 11, what is the nature of samsara? Okay, I will quickly recap those because those are very important shlokas. Bodhonya sadhanebhyo hi sakshan mokshaika sadhanam pakasya varnivat jnanam vina moksho na siddhyate. In this shloka, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji said, Atma Bodha is not one of the means to moksha, but the only means to moksha. Anya sadhanebhyaha, in comparison with other sadhanas, sakshat moksha eka sadhanam, direct means, the primary means, the only means to liberation. How? Pakasya varnivat jnanam. Just for cooking, varni, you need fire. Which is the most important aspect of cooking? Jnanam vina moksha na siddhati. All other sadhanas are sahakari sadhanas. They aid in liberation. Avirodhitaya karma na vidyam vinivartayet. Vidya vidyam nihantyeva tejastimira sangavat. Avirodhitaya karma na vidyam vinivartayet. Since karma or action is not opposed to ignorance or avidya, na vinivartayet. It cannot destroy ignorance. When it comes to Atma, it is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Atma. I don't have to produce it. I don't have to obtain it from somewhere. I don't have to modify it. I don't have to purify it. Therefore, Vidya eva avidyam nihanti. Knowledge alone will destroy my ignorance. How? Tejas timira sangavat. Darkness can only be removed by light. Then we saw that this ajnana or ignorance is a notion, bhranti. It can only be rediscovered by knowledge. Parichinna iva jnanat tannashe sati kevalah swayam prakashate hyatma megha paye amshumaniva. Parichinna iva ajnanat. Because of this notional ignorance or ajnana, the self appears to be parichinna, finite. Tannashe sati kevalaha. When ignorance is destroyed, kevalaha, that which is absolute, that which is infinite, swayam prakashate, it reveals itself, it shines itself. How? Mega paye amshumaniva. Just like Amshuman, Surya Bhagavan, sun reveals itself. Mega apaye, when the cloud moves away, it reveals itself. Then in the next sloka, Ajnana kalusham jivam jnanadhyasat vinirmalam krutva jnanam swayam nashyet jalam katakarenuvat. Ajnana kalusham jivam jnanabhyasat vinirmalam. By constant practice of this Atma Gnana, Vichara, vinirmalam, it purifies the egocentric self. Then what happens? Vinirmalam krutva swayam nashye. That thought also goes away. We saw the example of jalam kataka renuvat. Powder of that kataka nut, when it is poured on the surface of the water, it becomes denser, and with that it starts to settle down, carrying along with it the dirt or muddy impurities to the bottom of the vessel or bottom of the river, etc. Then we started to cover the second topic, which was the nature of samsara, which we covered last week. Samsara swapna tulyo hi ragadveshadi sankulaha swakale satyavad bhati prabodhe satyasad bhavet. Samsara swapna tulyo hi. This world is swapna tulyaha, like a dream. Ragadveshadi sankulaha, full of attachment, full of likes and dislikes. Swakale, the dream as we are experiencing it, Satyavat, it appears to be real. Prabodhe, Satya, Prabodhe, as we wake up, Asat Bhavet, it becomes unreal. We know that from our own direct experience. So we saw in the last class, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, how he established with this shloka, anityatva, impermanence of this world. Then we can do vichara if our waking state also, is it a prolonged dream? Once I wake up to that higher consciousness, I realize that what? Both dream world and the waking world are both impermanent. That I told you is nitya anitya viveka. Next shloka. Tavat satyam jagad bhati shuktika rajatam yatha yavannagnayate brahma Sarvadhishthanamadvayam, shloka number 7. In this, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji explained the phenomena of illusion. We said the world appears to be real. Tavat satyam jagad bhati. As long as the world appears to be real, yavat, as long as the substratum, the truth, the Brahman is not realized, which is sarva adhishtanam, advayam, the non-dual Brahman, the one without the second. How? Shuktika rajatavat. Or Shuktika Rajatam Yata. The example is like we see silver that shines in the seashell. A common occurrence when we are walking on the beach. Same way, we are attracted to the world and its objects by creating a perception of reality. And thus creating the bondage. We saw how to understand this adhisthanam, the substratum, with several examples for clay and the pot, gold and the ornaments, and so on. Next shloka. Upadane kiladare jaganti parameshware sargastitilayan yanti budbudani vabarini. So then we understood upadane akhiladare, the material cause the Upadana Karana, Akhila Adhare, which is the support of everything, the universe, the cosmos. Sarga, Sthiti, Layanyanti. Sarga, the creation, Sthiti, the sustenance, and Laya, the dissolution. These lokas, they go through Sarga, Sthiti, Laya. In who? Parameshware. In that Supreme Lord. How? Budbudani iva varini. Like bubbles in the ocean, they have many shapes and forms. And we also saw the quote from Kaivalya Upanishad for this. Tad Brahma Advayam Brahma Ahamasmi. Sorry. The next shloka. Satchidatmanyanusyute Nitye Vishnu Prakalpitah Vyaktayo Vividha Sarvaha Hatake Katakadivat. Satchidananda Atmani. In that self, which is of the nature of Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, and bliss, Anusyute, all pervading, Nitya, eternal, Vishnu Prakalpitaha, projections on that Vishnu, mental projections on the substratum, which is of the nature of Nitya. Vishnu means Vyapakatvat Vishnu, all pervading Vishnu, whose nature is that of Satchitananda. Hatake Katakadivat. One more example, how just like we have many ornamentation made out of the same gold. We may call it bracelet, we may call it bangle, nose ring, whatever. The essence of all that is gold. The Upadana Karana is gold. The same way, Vyaktaha Vividaha, several manifestations, all Nama Rupas of the world, Sarvaha Prakalpitaha, they are projected on that Vishnu. And how can we, so this is the right vision to see that oneness in many. How can we say that Brahman is Advayam, one without the second? The answer is in the next shloka. Yatakasho Rushikeshaha Nanopadigato Vibhuhu Tadvedat Binnavad Bhati Tannashe Kevalo Bhavet. Yata Akashaha, just a space, Rishikeshaha, the omnipresent truth, Nana Upadigataha, when it is associated with several conditionings, Upadi, Vibhuhu, all pervading, Tat Vedat, it appears to be distinct from each other. Bhinnavad Bhati, it appears to be diverse. Tannashe, upon destruction of these conditionings, Kevalaha Bhave, it becomes one. We saw how in our own homes, we separate the space in the bedroom, bathroom, living room, etc. Once we remove these conditionings and tear down these walls mentally, it is all reduced to one space. We saw a lot of pointers in this shloka. Space, which is all pervading. Space is untouched by all, asanga. It does not undergo any change, nirvikari. Same way, Atman, Brahman is all pervading, changeless, avikari, nirvikari. The main difference between space and Atma is, space is Jada Swarupa, Atma is Chaitanya Swarupa. Now for the next verse, we saw, Nanopadi jati varnashramadayah atmanyaropitastoye rasa varnadi bhedavat. 11th shloka. Now, because of the association with different conditionings, nana upadi vashat eva. Association with the upadis, jati varna ashramadaya. We superimpose what? Caste, color, our position, everything on Atma. Atmani aropitaha. How? Toye, just like water, has different flavors. Rasa varnadi vedavat. Like we have Coke, Pepsi, Canadian spring water, different flavors of water. But water basically is what? Colorless, odorless. Same way, I perceive the upadis of the Atma, Anatma, and recognize only Anatma there. Okay? So far, I wanted to recap this part. Then we also saw in the last week beautiful meditative verse from Viveka Chudamani. Jati niti kula gotra duragam nama rupa guna dosha varjitam desha kala vishayati vartiyate brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani. Now that concludes the second topic. I wanted to recap for your benefit so that the baseline is set. Now, let us go to our today's topic. Basically, the topic is gross body, subtle body, causal body. Stula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira. Okay? We have already covered this topic exhaustively in the Adhyatma Prakasha series. But I just want to cover that one more time so that the foundation for all of us is set. Panchikrita Mahabhuta Sambhavam Karma Sanchitam Shariram Sukha Dukkhanam Bhogayatana Muchyate. Panchikrita Mahabhuta Sambhavam. When we say the tamasic part of the 5 great elements that have gone through the process of Panchikaranam. Oh, what is this? Never heard of it. Those who are new. The 5-fold self-division and mutual combination. Even if you have the commentary, it will be difficult to understand this. That is why I was saying that we need to study Tattva Bodha first before we study Atma Bodha. All this was explained there. Those who are new to these sessions, I suggest please go through module number 7 and 8 of Adhyatma Prakasha series, where all of this is explained in detail. But don't worry, I will provide a brief explanation again so that you can follow along. Karma Sanchitam, born out of our own past karma. We are talking of gross body, Stula Sharira, Shariram, the gross body. Sukha Dukkhanam Bhogayatana Muchyate. For pleasure and pain, Bhoga Ayatanam. It's like a medium of experience. One's own past karma, Shariram, the gross body, Sukha Dukkhanam Bhogayatanam Uchyate. For pleasure and pain, Bhoga Ayatanam, the medium of experience. Now, in the next 3 shlokas, 12 through 15, he explains what is gross body, what is subtle body, what is causal body. See, in the previous shloka that I just recapped, Nana Upadhi Vashat, he explained many limited adjuncts. See, he has to point to the direction of Atma using these anatmic pointers. This is Sharira Traya Viveka. Let's come back to the gross body. Gross body means Stula Sharira, food sheath. From a kosha standpoint, it is made up of what? Skin, flesh, blood vessels, fat, marrow, bones, has limbs such as head, hands, legs, etc. So the physical elements of the body, which we can touch and feel, perceive. Sharira is Shiramanyatvat Shariram, that which disintegrates into space, air, fire, water, and earth. All these tattvas are in this physical body, based on which it is created. So in the text Tattva Bodha, process of Panchikarana, as to how different elements come together to form these different parts of the physical body, and each of them have their own presiding deity, is explained. Gross body, all of us can perceive, is perceived by the senses as well as by others, not only you. Hence it is called Stula Sharira, not because somebody is fat or lean or something. So Adi Shankaracharya ji in Tattva Bodha gives 4 important aspects for Stula Sharira. It is made out of these 5 Pancha Mahabhutas, 5 great elements. What are they? Air, ether, earth, water, and fire. It is born out of good actions of the past. Satkarma Janyam. It is a counter of experiences. I'll explain each one of them. It is subject to 6 modifications, Shadvikara. Let's take the first one. It is made up of 5 great elements. What are they? Space, air, fire, water, and earth. They are called Pancha Mahabhutas. If you're talking to somebody today outside of this class, instead of telling them that you studied Panchikarana process, you can tell them you studied pentamerous self-duplication and mutual combination. They will say, wow. If I explain this 5-step process, let me put that chart out for you. If I explain using this chart above, you will not come to the next class. But let us take a very simple example. Instead of Pancha Mahabhutas, we will call them 4 boys and 1 girl was there. They were all friends. Akash. We'll call the first boy, space, as Akash. Instead of air, the second one, please pay attention to the diagram I'm showing on the screen. Instead of air, we will call him Pavan. Then we have Agni, we will call him Tejas. Then there is Earth, let's call him Prithvi. So 4 boys. And then the girl, water, we'll call her Jalaja. Each of them, they had $2. $1 and 4 quarters. Okay? Each one of them painted themselves in different colors, painted that dollar in different colors that I've shown pictorially and kept it. They retained their own element, one half of it. That is $1. Then each half, that other quarter, they borrowed from each other. Okay? This is called Panchikarana. As simple as that. Grossification of the tamasic aspect of the subtle elements. This combination and permutation of these subtle elements go on to make our physical body. That entire gross world can be perceived. Then, it is born out of the actions of the past. Sat karma janyam or karma sanchitam. It is considered a special blessing. We have already seen that. To have a human body, very rare. We have the power to discriminate, not only to think dharma and adharma, good or bad on the moral plane, but also nitya and anitya. What is real? What is unreal? We can think beyond this Darwinian world. That is why we are the crown jewel of creation. Endowed with this sukshma buddhi, subtle intellect. Then it is like a counter of experience. Sukha dukkhadi bhoga ayatanam. It's like a counter, just like a transaction in a shop happens at the front counter. This is that counter where the transaction happens with the world. That is why Bhagavat Purana calls this Navadvara Pura, a city of 9 gates, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 1 anus, 1 reproductive organ. It also undergoes 6 modifications. Asti, in the fetal form, it exists. The mother experiences changes in her body. The doctor confirms, yes, through an ultrasound, yes, it exists. Jayate, it is born. The fetus develops and born after a period of gestation. Vardate, it starts to grow. It gets nourished by annam and grows. Viparimate, it changes constantly, discarding the old cells, building the new texture, suffering through many diseases, undergoes many modifications. Apakshiyate, it decays. In due course of time, we notice that it is starting to weaken. You know, I don't have that muscle mass anymore. Loses its strength, loses its vitality. Vinashyati, it perishes. It disintegrates and goes back to where? To become the Pancha Mahabhutas, the constituent elements. Okay? Now, with the gross body, Jagrad Avastha, where you experience waking state, identifying with the gross body, the individual identified with that ego in that waking state is called Vishwa. From a kosha standpoint, it is called Annamaya Kosha. We have seen all this before. Now we'll go to the shloka number 13. Shloka number 13. Pancha prana mano buddhi dashendriya samanvitam apanchi kruta bhutotham sukshmangam bhoga sadhanam. Pay careful attention to the words here. Now he is explaining Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. The key difference here is Apanchikruta Bhutotham Sukshmangam Bhoga Sadhanam. There it was Bhoga Ayatanam. They remain as rudimentary subtle elements called tanmatras. They are apanchikruta, meaning they do not go through grossification. Okay, they remain as tanmatras. They are called sukshma sharira, bhoga sadhanam, instrument of experience. Adi Shankaracharya ji again in Tattva Bodha gives 4 aspects for Sukshma Sharira. It is made out of same 5 Panchamahabhutas. It consists of 17 limbs, 5 Gnanendriyas, organs of perception, 5 Karmendriyas, organs of action, 5 Pranas, Pancha Pranas, Mana, Buddhi. Manas Buddhi is further divided into Chitta Ahankara. Together they are called Antakarana, internal organ. You will hear these terminologies. It is an instrument of experience, born out of good karmas. Swapnavastha. We studied elaborately on that in Samsara, nature of Samsara, dream state. It is unique to this subtle body, where in it creates an internal world of its own. We have discussed that elaborately, so I'm not going to go into details. How dreams are often caused by suppressed thoughts and unfulfilled desires in the waking state. Okay? So, Stula Sharira is Bhoga Ayatanam, a counter of experience. Sukshma Sharira is Bhoga Sadhanam, instrument of experience. From a Kosha standpoint, subtle body is Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Kosha. Next shloka, shloka number 14. I'm going a little faster because we have already studied these before. Anadya vidya anirvachya karano padiruchyate upaditritaya danya atma namavadharayet. Now he is explaining the causal body. Karana Sharira. It is called Karana Sharira because it is the cause for the other two. Cause for what other two? Subtle body and gross body. Sharira Dvaya Karanam. It consists of what? Vasanas, our inherent tendencies, in an unmanifest form. It is the nature of ignorance. It is called anadi, beginningless. Because the common question we all ask, when did it all begin first? Without discussing when we fell in the well, Vedanta focuses on how to get out of it. So it is called anadi, beginningless. Then we say anirvachya. It is an inexplicable phenomena. It does not belong to the category of sat, existence. Sat means that which remains constant in past, present, and future. I cannot say it is asat because I experience it non-existence. I cannot say that. Sat asadbyam anirvachyam. See, the topic of Vedanta, it focuses on the knowledge, vidya, not avidya. It is free from thoughts, nirvikalpa swarupa. Nirvikalpa Rupam. When the individual identifies with Karana Sharira, he is in deep sleep, Sushupti Avastha. The world of plurality, the external world, has folded down. There is no internal world. He is in this homogeneous experience of nothingness. It is called Ajnana Nidra. Because we go to sleep every night. We are not going to wake up a Gnani, a Mahapurusha, next day morning. The dreamer ego is called Prajna or Prajna. Now the second line of the shloka says, let me pull that up. Upaditritaya danya atmanam avadharaye. This is why he was explaining gross body, subtle body. Why? Avadharayet. Understand that atmanam, atma is upadis tritayad anya. That atma is other than these conditionings, these upadis. Now, in the next shloka, he negates the 5 koshas. Remember that? Panchakoshadi yogena tattanmaya ivastitaha shuddhatma nilavastradi yogena spatiko yata. Atma, as we know, is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Atma. It is untouched by these upadis, it is untouched by these conditionings, but it appears as though there is association with them. Panchakoshadi yogena tat tanmaya ivastitaha. In its identification with the 5 koshas, what are they? Let me see if I have the chart to remind you. Yes, there. Panchakosha, Annamaya Kosha, food sheath, gross body, Pranamaya Kosha, vital air sheath, Manomaya Kosha, mental sheath, Vijnanamaya Kosha, intellectual sheath. Together they are equated into subtle body. Bliss sheath is, or Anandamaya Kosha is called causal body. Okay? Soak that in. Kosha means a covering. Koshavat achyadati tasmat kosha. For example, a scabbard, a sword that covers the sword, it is in the same shape as the sword. What it does, it indicates the presence of the sword. Same way, tanmaya ivastitaha. This Shuddhatma, this pure self, Atman, how spatikam yata, the white clear crystal. Neela vastradi yogena, when that blue cloth is put on that white crystal, what it does? It appears blue. When there is an yellow cloth, it appears yellow. Whatever is the shape of, you place a glass tumbler on a tablecloth, whatever is the color of the cloth, it takes that color. Similarly, the self is covered in these 5 koshas. In fact, I see, I think, I feel. All these expressions indicate the presence of the self. Functioning through these sheets proves that there is self present. But they cover the true nature of the self. When the self identifies with the food sheet, Annamaya Kosha, I say I am a man, I am a woman, I am fat, I am lean, I am tall, I am short, etc. When we identify with the Pranamaya Kosha, we say I am hungry, I am thirsty, right? And when we identify with the mental sheet, what do we say? I'm happy, I'm sad. When I identify with the intellectual sheet, I say I am intelligent, I have the gift of the gab, etc. Identified with the bliss sheet, I say I am experiencing happiness. Koshananda, Priya, Moda, Pramoda. Remember all that. So if you have not heard those before, please visit module number 7 of Adhyatma Prakasha series. Please note that this is not some marketing ploy to view some videos on the YouTube, etc. I want you to have a very good understanding of these basic concepts. So using the technique of Panchakosha viveka, as explained in the Taittiriya Upanishad, when the 5 sheets are negated, what remains is the non-negatable substratum, the changeless entity, the nature of absolute knowledge, everlasting bliss. Now one may ask, how do I do this type of discrimination? How do I exercise this type of viveka? He explains that in the next shloka. With an example. Okay? Vapustu shadibih koshaihi yuktam yuktyavaghatatah atmanamantaram shuddham vivichya tandulam yatha. Here in this shloka, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is suggesting one should discriminate through yuktyaya, through logical thinking, through discriminative self-analysis. How the sadhakas like us need to think these sheets are jadavastu, made of matter, inert matter. They have no sentiency of their own. Right? It does not undergo any modification, nirvikari. So, it is distinct from all these 5 sheets. It is asanga. He gives a very relevant example. Vapus tushadibihi koshaihi yuktam yuktyavaghatataha. How one separates rice from the husk, bran. So that is covering it. Especially if you go to rural India where they grow rice, you can see them pounding this husk. Same way, avaghatataha, by pounding and thrashing. Similarly, vivichya. The word viveka comes from this root word, vivichya. Tushadibihi, annamaya kosha, etc. Tandulam yata. Just like we separate rice from the husk. See, working on eliminating what we call as tadatmya sambandha, false identifications. In Tattva Bodha, he gave a logic. Madiyatvena gnatam atma na bhavati. How? Whatever is described as mine. Like I say, my car. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out my car is different from me, right? Same way my body, my pranas, my mind, my intellect, that this Atma is different from these Panchakoshas. The other logic he has used is Druk Drushya Viveka, the logic of the seen and the seer. Who is the knower that is distinct from the known? This way, all these false identifications that are created with the 3 Sharira, with the Panchakosha, the relationship, the emotional identities, all that we carry are removed from our personality layer. So in the next two shlokas, the question comes up, if Atma is all pervading, why is there no tangible manifestation in all the things? Sentient and insentient things are discussed. Okay, let's see if we can cover that. If they exceed 1 or 2 minutes, bear with me, because this is all continuous topics. That's why I want to cover that. Number 17. Sada sarvagato pyatma na sarvatra vabhasate buddha vavabhaseta swacheshu pratibimbavat sada sarvagataha api. Although api sada always, sarvagataha all pervading, atma the self, na sarvatra avabhasate it does not shine everywhere. Buddha veva bhaseta buddhyau in the intellect eva avabhasate it manifests there in the buddhi like swacheshu pratibimbavat, just as reflection in a clean mirror or a reflective surface. See, the object, only Sat aspect of the existence is manifest in the object. But in being, Sat and Chit aspect are manifest. Existence and consciousness. The Chit aspect is present when there is a subtle body or an antakarana. That is why when there is an antakarana shuddhi, very important aspect, when we remove the mala, the impurities, which is preventing, creating a pratibandha, obstruction of the ananda aspect when it is reflecting, medium is purified. With purity comes clarity. The buddhi, the intellect, is devoid of all of the raga dvesha, likes and dislikes. It's the dirty mirror is scrubbed clean. Then just like water, when it is calm, stable, when there is no disturbance due to mala or vikshepa removed, when it is filled with more and more of sattva, to vishuddha sattva, that chit abhasa, that reflection of chit aspect of atma in that purified antakarana becomes clear. This is following the basic law of physics. Now remember, the medium of reflection is changing, impermanent, but the original light of atma is changeless, which he explains in the next shloka. Dehendriya mano buddhi Dehendriya mano buddhir prakritibhyo vilakshanam tadvruttis sakshinam vidyat atmanam rajavat sada. Dehendriya mano buddhi prakritibhyo, from the deha, body, indriya, which is sense organs, mana is mind, buddhi is intellect, all are prakritibhya, all are made of matter. Vilakshanam, see, lakshana means indicator, upalakshana means when something is mentioned and not included. Vilakshana means distinct, exclusive. Tad vritti sakshinam, this atma is sakshi, witness to all the functions and activities. One should know, understand atma as that which is distinct from what? Gross body, subtle body and causal body. 5 sheets, indriyas, sense organs, Sakshi, that witness. See, when you are a Sakshi or a witness, you are not involved in the activity. You are unaffected by the activity. You are changeless. Right? In case of this Sakshi, it directly illumines the activities just like sun does. There is no doership, no kartrutva. That is why Sakshi also knows without being a knower. How? Rajavat. Like a king. See in the Darbar. Swayam Rajate iti Raja. He is distinct from everyone. In an assembly or a parade, he is distinct. When there is activity going on in the royal court, when the dance is going on, he is sitting and witnessing all the activities in a non-partisan way. Atma is like that. What a beautiful pointer. So with this, we have covered the topic of gross and subtle and causal bodies. You can also call it, some people call it Sopadika Brahma, Sa Upadi. Topic of Atma, Anatma, Viveka, etc., etc. Next topic is called Adhyasa, superimposition, shlokas from 19 to 24, which we will cover next week. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pash. We'll skip meditation for this week. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. May all be healthy. May all be happy. May all see auspiciousness. May none suffer. Om peace, peace, peace. Thank you, everyone. I will open it up for